Hello and welcome back, friends. I am so pumped for today's episode. We are going to catch up. We are going to talk about some changes. I know a lot of people are going through changes. I'll probably touch on, I had mentioned before in a video, I was going to talk about some really specific things I do when I'm going through a rebirth that ground me through the process. And I know a lot of people have been going through that over the last few months. Like, this year is so intense. Like, we are in this collective 7 year. There's a lot of spiritual awakening. And I think that when people first started talking about that early in the year, a lot of people receiving that information were thinking of it more as, oh, people are going to wake up to spirituality like their first spiritual awakening. There are awakenings within the awakening, so there are different levels of spiritual awakening. There are different levels of your mission, soul family. Since I've started this real spiritual journey, there have been so many different activations and levels of awakening. I just get deeper and deeper. I'm brought to new levels, and I actually feel like, it's hitting a lot of people hard in terms of it's their first spiritual awakening, but it's also really hitting the light workers, the light leaders hard, because we are being called up to a new level, and we are really being forced to look at all of the places where we're out of alignment when we think we are. So anyway, that's, I feel like the big energy of the last few months, death and rebirth. I feel like the energy is going to get really interesting. I'm really excited for the next 6 months. It's like the first 6 months of the year are vibrational preparation. And then the last part of the year is when things really ground in. And there is so much stuff that's trying to ground in. And I'll just kind of like orient from myself. And I think as I explain certain changes like I'm making, I'll be able to kind of weave in the different lessons and things the guides have been saying to me. So I've just had a lot going on in every single direction of my life. And I feel like I have been in this whirlpool, like just can't ground in. So much is shifting and changing and transforming. And then finally, a couple weeks ago, I had this moment. I woke up and I had fully grounded into the new version of me, I'll say. And what it really was if you've listened to my new birthday, new me episode, it really was actually like a full shift into that new vibration of the new birthday. It was like palpable. I woke up and I was like, whose body am I in? It was the most bizarre thing. And everything around me no longer resonated. It was that intense. And it actually reminded me a lot of when I was little. I would have this happen where I would wake up one day and I would just be like, nothing around me works anymore. And for me, I was thinking about when I was a kid, how it would be so visually represented in my room and the things I wore and the colors. And because at a young age, I spoke in color, I understood in color, I saw energy fields. I was seeing everything in color and shapes, and holograms all around. And so and combined with being a sacral being, when I made a vibrational shift and I was then in the same environment that I loved yesterday, but I had changed, everything was such a visceral no that I just could not function until I changed everything. And the shadow of that is people always think you're dramatic, but it's such a visceral no. And the thing is, the more that we understand that we're energetic beings, and I know that if you're listening to this, you understand that we are energetic beings, but even if you understand that, you are going to reach different layers and levels of understanding that. Like, I really understand that. It's my whole life. And I still to this day, like, have these moments where I'm like, whoa, it all comes back to energy, of course, because we are energetic beings. Everything is made up of energy. And so if you don't like something, it's not resonating. How is that interacting with your field? How is that interacting with your field? It's not the optimal concoction, so to speak. Anyway, couple weeks ago, I felt like I had been going through the shift, but then I hit the point where I had made the shift and I anchored much more into essentially my new birthday and that coding. And I realized everything around me like needed to change, needed to shift. And it suddenly started to make sense why for so long everything had been up in the air. And it was happening kind of in every area of my life. I think, one of the most intense ways what has been my living situation. So I mean, this has been going on for a while. I was just kind of waiting to talk about it, but a number of things have happened where I feel like I'm just being ejected out of this house. So I objectively love this house. I guess this is the first house I ever bought. Really proud of it. Loved this house. It is beautiful. It is large. I manifested it. Like the story of how I got it is wild. I mean, this was totally my spirit guides bringing me into this home, and it served me in a really important season. And every piece of my brain is like, why would I leave this house? It's so nice. It's in a great location. It has everything I ever wanted. Like places like this aren't easy to find, and the market's so bad right now, but the contract is up here and it has been hitting me in every direction. Like and I was talking to the house today. I was like, could one more thing go wrong with this house? And the house was just like, look, contract is over. And what I have been telling some of my friends is it really, the feeling reminds me of when you're in a relationship and the person is great on paper and they're what you were always looking for. And then you wake up one day and you're just like, I'm not feeling it. And you don't have any reason why. And that's where a lot of people stay in relationships. I've done that, right? Because I'm like, I don't have any logical reason why. And I'm almost like fighting with myself and trying to justify it to myself. Well, this doesn't make any sense. This is exactly what I wanted. And I'm trying to talk myself into liking the situation again. But what happens is our frequency shifts and it's just no longer resonant, and the contract's up. Like it's over. Moving on to the next. And I've talked about that a lot in the last few weeks. Like we are just having this overnight contract is up. I don't know why I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I don't know why I don't want to do this anymore. Like that, I want to move, right? And it's that intense. And we can spend a lot of time, we can waste a lot of time, I feel like, trying to justify things to our ego or try and find another way of viewing it. But the thing is, that's what happens when your vibration shifts, and life gets a lot easier when you just live in non-attachment and trust, okay, contract is complete. I don't need to make it right or wrong, but I'm feeling that it's just not resonant, and things can be not resonant and then not be bad. That's the other thing is people, when you're still living in this, from this perspective of duality, you think, well, this isn't resonant, so it's bad. And that's a big reason why we don't want to release it, because we think that it implies it's bad if I want to leave the situation. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's bad. It's just I am being guided by my soul to move on to whatever the next chapter is. So that it really kind of came out of the blue. Well, I'll say it came out of the blue, this house, but me needing to leave this house. But it didn't really, like I had intuitively just been feeling like for the last few months, like maybe, I don't know, like, do I want to move? I've gone to some random open houses. I didn't know why. They weren't even houses I would buy, but I've definitely had that bubbling. And then yeah. So I don't really know where I'm moving or what's going on, but I know I have to get out of this house. And so that's where I'm starting. I'm starting with, I am packing things up. I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to be traveling a bit over the next few months. Not like anywhere crazy, but I also do have some international travel coming up later this summer. So it's just really interesting timing. And it's like the problem has been, I have felt like I can't ground in. And it's just funny because the more I talk about the house situation, to me, it just mirrors relationships so much, where it's like, I kind of had this intuitive feeling, but there's nothing wrong here. So I'm staying, and my logic is saying this house is perfect. I recognize this is a very like surface level example, but think about how this applies to your career, your relationships, because those are often a lot harder. Living is hard though. It'd be different if I was renting, but like, I own this house. The market sucks. Like it doesn't make any logical sense. And everybody is trying to talk me out of it. Everybody, well, not everybody, my spiritual friends aren't, but everybody else is trying to talk me out of it. Like, but interest rates are so bad and like all that logic. And it's like, I can't hear it. I don't want to hear it. But I had those kind of intuitive nudges, and there was something within me that never really let myself fully move in. Like, I have 2 rooms in this house that are basically empty. I only put things in a couple rooms. It was just like, I don't know. It just felt kind of overwhelming, and even in my bedroom, I was like, I never really bothered to decorate. It was just really weird. I never really bothered to like fully ground in. And there's always been a piece of me that has known I was going to move. I thought maybe in a couple of years I would change, but it's all those little intuitive nudges of like, why am I not fully settling in? Why am I not fully settling into this relationship? Why am I hesitating to go in deeper? Versus when our intuition knows like, this is where I'm supposed to be, we jump in. I mean, there's other things that can come up there too, right? Like trauma, where am I self-sabotaging? Where am I getting in my own way? But I know for me, it's just been, okay, my intuition knew, and then the time comes and you want things to be neat and tidy of this makes sense. I have a justified reason, but also timing. I think we always are looking for the right timing, and that's a huge energy. That's a huge thing the guides keep bringing up. Like, as I've been tuning into a lot of like, what are the blocks that people are having? I mean, we're gonna get at it, but a lot of this is the timing piece, like trying to figure out the right timing. And I'm not going to make a blanket statement because it's going to be different for everybody, but when I'm tuning into the collective of who I speak to here, for a lot of you right now, energy update, there isn't going to be the right timing. And sometimes the right timing is when it feels almost overwhelming. Like, I have so much change and so many things happening in my life right now, and I have over the last few months. I'm like, really all at once? But it all did have to be at once. And I started to realize how that actually was serving me, because I'm creating an entirely new, fresh start that will be represented by wherever I live next. That will be represented through, like, we're changing branding, and I'm changing the way I'm doing things in the business, and a lot of things with certain relationships. Like, everything is changing at the same time. And we can feel like, oh, there's too much going on, this isn't the right time, but that can be actually exactly when it is the right time, because there's a lot of moving pieces that your higher self is aware of that maybe your ego, looking down here, is not fully aware of. And this is all a lesson in trust. Like, we are really being pushed to trust on much deeper levels, to trust ourselves, to trust our souls, it's really like put your money where your mouth is. Like, if I'm going to say that I trust in the universe and I believe in all this spiritual stuff and abundance and whatever, but then that's great. I could say that. But like, when it comes down to it, what do I choose? What do I live? And there are a lot of people that don't walk the talk. But like, that's what it is to lead a soul-aligned life and to follow your intuition, is you're going to consistently do things that make no sense to other people and also don't even make sense to you. But your soul is guiding you to do that. And a lot of us are really being pushed to live it. So what are the things that you've been teaching about, that you have been, maybe you're learning a lot about it, you're reading books about it, you're listening to podcasts about it, you're listening to all kinds of content on it, and you're like, yeah, I believe that. But then the situation's going to come up right now of, are you going to live it though? Are you going to live it? And that is the real test that we are facing right now. So it's interesting because like none of it makes sense. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going next. I don't even know I don't know whether I'm staying in California or not. Don't want opinions. I have a plan. I'm just not being clear. I'm going to be moving around a bit over the next couple of months. I'm going to see whenever the next place pops up that I'm supposed to live at, I will know. So it's just going to be really interesting, I think, on my end to see the timing. I'm excited to see how the timing is, because I definitely am somebody that like has to have roots. Like, I don't do well. I have a lot of friends who live a more nomadic lifestyle, or they travel a lot, things like that, or they'll like, spend a couple months here, a couple months there, and they really love that. I'm just like not that kind of person. And so this seems very ungrounding for me, but it actually will be very grounding. I think the most grounding thing, like what I know I need, is the more I get rid of things, because this move, it's like I'm getting rid of everything. I'm getting rid of everything. The more I release things, get rid of things, and simplify, the better I feel. And the real energy that's been coming up for me is like, I need to feel mobile. And I'm bringing this up. I'm saying all this because this is all applying to you. So I want you to feel into the energies of this. I need to feel mobile right now. This goes back to the message that I've been saying a lot. I just keep getting told, simplify, simplify, simplify. I think a lot of us need to think about, what would it feel like for me to like think about the energy of being dynamic, being mobile, simplifying. And when things feel too complicated anywhere in your life where it's like, I don't feel like I could make a move. Like if your soul told you tomorrow to move, to change your career, to leave the relationship, are you mobile? Are you energetically mobile enough to do that? And so it's not about even yet making those decisions of, oh, I've got to make the shift. It's, have I put myself in a place where I am energetically flexible, as we say in Manifestation Mastery, as the Monarch Being says in Manifestation Mastery. And I've been thinking about that energy a lot in my life. And I'm like, I have too many things to feel mobile. Like I'm thinking about how I get to set myself up so that the next few months, as I'm kind of spending longer periods of time in different cities and things, how can I feel mobile in that and feel still grounded in that mobility? How can I be more dynamic? Or this is really the kind of the big thing that I've come to within my business. It was this, okay, I have this it's like a Pluto energy. I mean, my midheaven is in Pluto, or I don't know what the term is, whatever. All my astrologer friends were like, yeah, this is really uncommon, but it's basically I'm in consistent death and rebirth cycles. And that is like coded in all of my charts, everything. I know that about myself. I represent death and rebirth. And so I've gotten really good at being flexible, and it's a lot of bold decisions. But I've also thought about within my businesses and my career, which is really like my mission. Like this is my mission. How can I set up structure that allows me to be flexible? Right? So the structure in itself is designed so that it can shift and change. And we've that energy, that idea is what we need to be thinking about in every area of our lives. Because what happens is people's frequency changes, so their resonance changes, and then they realize, I need to make this decision. I need to make this change in my company, or I want to make this change in my relationship. This dynamic I want to change, or I want to adjust, or how I don't know, communicate with friends, or my living situation. Like if you were to get the ping, the hit, like this has got to change, are you able to do that? And I'll say, like, I think business is a really tangible example. Career is a really tangible example of a lot of us stay in situations. And this isn't just, I mean, it's interesting because I think people think when you're an entrepreneur, it's easier because you're in control, but I wouldn't say it's like any easier because it can feel like even more difficult to make a decision, to make a shift, because you are employing different people and you feel this responsibility for like a ton of people at the same time. And so a lot of entrepreneurs, like this is a conversation I have in my office every single day, like, because these are, different entrepreneurs that are in charge of larger companies. They have a lot of salaries happening, and it's like they're getting this intuitive hit, like I need to change this radically, but they're like, what if it goes wrong? And then it negatively affects all of these people, right? So it can feel like the stakes are a lot higher. But even if you don't own a company, like there's always a way, like we're going to feel like the stakes are high of who else it impacts, right? But that is the thing of, do I really believe that what's for my highest and best is for the highest and best of all involved? Like when we don't make the choice to change, then that's pointing to where we don't really believe that, where we don't really believe that our higher self knows the most optimal path, where we don't believe that if it's not this, it's something better. We don't believe that everyone is responsible for their own feelings. I'm not responsible for other people's feelings. I'm responsible for my own. Where we don't believe that what's for my highest and best is for everybody's all around me. And so once again, like, these are the tests. These are the tests that we're having of, like, I mean, this is spiritual awakening. It's not just enough to learn about it, think about it, talk about it. Are you actually doing it? You know, there's a lot of people who call themselves spiritual, all love and light. And it's like, when it comes down to it, they don't make decisions out of love, or they don't make decisions out of trust. And so you have to realize that who you really are is coming through the choices that you're making, not just the thoughts, you know, these ideas. It's like, we have to ground it in. And that's what this time is really about, grounding it in. Grounding, I'll say the 5D into the 3D, however you want to phrase it. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but it's all about really grounding it in. So the energy, like, this is really kind of an energy update too, is, am I dynamic? Am I flexible? Am I mobile? A lot of people are going to feel called to travel different places throughout the rest of the year, to switch up relationships, to make changes in their career. It's like, we've got to be flexible enough to listen to that call, because things are moving really quickly. Timelines are moving really quickly, and we have to be able to keep up. It really is. This is what it is to really live in the present moment. We have all of these attachments, entanglements, because we're so used to planning everything in the future. It's, you know, it's like when people ask that question, it just came up the other day in a conversation, when someone's like, what's your 5-year plan? And I'm like, what? And people think that those goals are like, I don't know, high achiever habit. And I get it from one angle. Like, I could see it from a manifestation angle, but I'm like, you think I'm going to box myself in with a 5-year plan? Like, holy shit, there's no way I'd be able to do everything I've done at my age if I had a 5-year plan. I would have blocked myself from all the magic. There is no way I'd be able to write all these books by the time I'm 30. There's no way I'd be able to have run I'm at like 5 or 6 companies now. Like, there's just no way if I had a 5-year plan and then I stuck to it, right? So can I really live in the present moment and be okay with not knowing? Be okay with, this is cool, I'm in the movie, I'm in the video game, and I don't know how the video game is gonna end. I don't know how the movie's gonna end, because we're clinging to a false sense of control, thinking we know how it's gonna end. Things are getting interesting right now. I did a post about this on Instagram yesterday, and I was like kind of shocked at like everybody's reaction. Like, I obviously knew it was going to resonate, but like, people have been sending me a lot of messages about like, holy shit, I'm feeling this so intensely. It's a very ungrounding thing where a lot of people are feeling like, I don't know what to do next. And I'm, you know, this is a lot of my friends who are intuitives, channels, like really connected with their records and their guides and everything. They're like, everything I did before isn't working. I feel stuck. I don't know what decision to make next. I don't know what to do. It's like, it's not clear. The highest timeline isn't clear. And that's because there isn't a highest timeline. That's because we're moving into creatorship. It's kind of like, you know, in the show Loki, how there's like the timeline keepers and like write basically the timeline. It's like, it's almost like, okay, we got to the point where the timelines were written, but now we're in the space of the quantum of like, what do we want to create? And things can get really interesting. So don't think that things are so set in stone. Like, we're going to see this. The guides are saying you're going to see this on crazy levels. Like, you guys, I don't think you even understand how crazy it's going to be, the shit that's coming. Like, on every level. Like, this is the craziest video game. You think you've experienced a glitch in the Matrix? You don't even know. You are going to realize the level to which you are a creator. The level to which you can think of something and it's just going to come into existence. Don't accidentally lock yourself into something unnecessarily. Whatever you're telling yourself is not possible or is not likely, it's not possible, and it's not likely. It's almost like the probability of things, the likelihood of things has just all equalized. And you get to purely just decide. So instead of us, you know, it's like the spiritual way of shooting all over ourselves. What's my highest timeline? You know, tell me Tell me what I should, what should I be doing? It's like, that's what people do, just in a spiritual way. We go into our Akashic records, we go see a reader, and we're like, what's my career supposed to be? Because we think it's like just written in the stars of like what we're here to do. And here's the thing, there are things that are written. There are things that you're coded for. But that's become clear. All the details, the how, a lot of the other decisions, like the decisions that aren't crucial. Like for certain people, this might be living. For a lot of people, there will be places you need to live to anchor in light, or you need to move to anchor in light and do some grid work, to work with a crystalline grid, things like that. But for other people, where you are in the world isn't going to matter. And so you're like, where should I move? And it's just like, wherever you want, as long as, you're fulfilling the mission here. I realized it was kind of like I just hit this fork in the road in a lot of places, like pretty much everywhere in my life. And I was like, I just have to decide. And because a lot of people are feeling stuck, they're feeling stuck and they're at that fork in the road and they're not making decisions, so the energy's not moving. You have to just make a decision. And we're sitting here thinking there's a wrong one and a right one. There's a higher timeline and a not higher timeline. And it's just a choice. So the energy's going to move when you choose, when you just move forward and you get to create it. So, with that, I realized like, if I'm going to keep hitting these choice points, this relates back to, do I feel energetically flexible? Do I feel mobile? And I started to realize how in my business, there are all these like conditions. And that's the real thing. Like I want to highlight for people that we can view this from. Where am I living in conditions of like, unless this happens, I can't do that. Or, well, I can't do that because this is here. So I was thinking about like, I don't know, like my podcast. And I was thinking about, oh man, I have so much travel over the next couple of months and I'm being like pushed with this ungrounding thing for me that I have to learn to ground within. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't really know where I'm going to be. Everything's up in the air. And in my head, I'm like, well, how am I going to plan this event or these calls, or what about my podcast? Like, because I like to be in my podcast room. I like to have like this set up. I like to, the energy, the sound. I've got my soundboards, all of that. And I like to just podcast where I know it all works. And I was like, I can't not go where my soul is telling me to go because I'm worried that I won't have a good space to podcast. Like, it's just got to be what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just got to be what it is. It's got to be more mobile. It's got to be more dynamic. It's got to be fun. So it's like, oh my God, I just realized where I had this condition. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, well then the answer is just, I just can't care. I just can't care. It's like wherever I am when the message wants to come through, it's going to be fine. And maybe that can be part of the fun of it, that you're seeing me in different locations or you're not seeing me. And the sound is a little bit different because you're like live with me. And I started to think, how fun would it be to travel more and channel live on the show, like while I'm moving. And I'm like, wait, but that would actually be really freeing. So now I totally just transmuted that. Like, wouldn't that be so freeing if just like, I just pick up my mic and I go wherever I don't have to worry about, the sound or the location or, all of that. It's like with entrepreneurship, for example, we follow this for a life of freedom, but then there are like conditions within the freedom, right? Like, oh, I want to be here because I'm hosting this program, things like that. And so whatever that is for you, like, what are your conditions? Well, I can't do this until this happens. Or I know I need to move, but I can't until I figure out where I'm going to live. I'm going to have that conversation, but I'm going to wait first until this person does this. We're not mobile. We're not flexible. We're not dynamic, right? So this goes back to the simplification. I am simplifying everywhere, and it's like literally like finding a thread and slowly but surely unraveling it. Where do I need to simplify? I have been given this gift of I've got to move, which is my excuse to just slowly but surely get rid of as many things, donate things, release things, whatever as possible, because all these things are affecting my frequency, right? Simplification with schedule, for example. Not scheduling out in advance. Can't do that. Don't like it. It's tying me down. Simplify, right? How can I just make everything simpler? I mean, I look at even just how I've changed like marketing and things like that, where it's like everything is so simple. So simple. This is what I want to do. Bring it down. And it's really fast. Things like that. I was realizing that it just got hard for me with like the podcast and Instagram and YouTube. And I'm like, this is literally like so much needs to come through. And here I am trying to figure out what platform to put shit on. Like, this is just a waste of my energy. So basically what I've just decided is that everything that goes in the podcast is going on YouTube. Everything that goes on YouTube is going to be on the podcast. They're basically going to be the same. Just one will be audio and one will have the video. So that makes my life easier. And why that's also freedom, liberating, as I thought, wow, well, I could just transition the show to basically just be what I want it to be, where I can just record more. I can record more often and just basically put all the downloads in, have some freedom, have some space. Like, there were too many doors open so that I was deciding what content to put where. There's different conversations going on. And I think the big thing for me recently has been like, I'm sick of too many conversations going on and I just want one conversation. So it's like, look, I'm going to show up here. I'm going to show up here more often than before. And I'm just going to show up and see what wants to come through. We're going to see who we want to channel, what message we have, if it's an energy update, if it's a topic, if a guide wants to talk through me. Like, we're just going to have fun. And it might be 10 minutes, it might be an hour, who knows. But we need to be having a consistent conversation. And this is part of, I feel like we've all been deeply activated recently with like our mission. I know I have had a fire lit under my butt. And I'm like, there's so much flowing through me. There's so much information. There's so many energy updates. There's so many activations like that. My nervous system has gotten fried because there isn't enough space for me to bring it through. So I'm like, I have to create space for me to bring it through. And these are all just like different examples of how we are consistently distracted. That is the biggest thing that we have to overcome right now. Everything in our society is set up to keep us distracted. And I've been thinking about this a lot with business, and I'm like, these are too many distractions. And it's not, there's a lot in our society that has been set up as a distraction, like on purpose, like our phones and how our phones and notifications and social media are designed. What was that one book? I don't think I have it actually. I forget what it's called. It's the book by Adam Alter, I think, or Atler. I don't remember. Someone will look it up. It's a really good book on social media addiction, whatever. Social media, even just like the way that we have to live, all this chasing around money, and we spend all of our time doing that. What is that distracting us from? Television commercials, like everything is set up to distract us. And we've been conditioned to distract each other. I've been really noticing how I've just been noticing the behavior of people in my life who I love very dearly. And I'm like, this is just a distraction. Like, you asking me this question is unnecessary. And I'm noticing all of the places where I get pulled, I get distracted, and I'm letting people distract me. And I started to realize, holy shit, it's not even just distraction implants or distraction technologies. People have this energetically, right? This is one of the things that we got to clear energetically. If you come to the monthly Channel Collective Ahai sessions, I clear these out, right? Because we get shit put in our consciousness that distracts us. And distractions can look like anxiety, can look like worry. Like, that's how, when I'm talking about these like energetic technologies, it comes out as limiting beliefs. I don't feel good enough. What if it doesn't work out? What if I get made fun of? What if I get rejected? What if the business doesn't work? Is that really you though? No. Do you think your higher self is telling you that? No. So what the fuck is that? Who is that? That's a distraction in energy. Probably got implanted when you were sleeping, right? It's like the classic, I can't I mean, a lot of women will be like, I have to lose weight before I can, go on social media or go on stage. And it's like, that's a distraction. What are all of these are conditions? These are distractions, right? When we're like the energetic codependence or feeling the need to talk to each other all the time. These are distractions. Or all of the things. I've been really noticing this in my business. I mean, I've been noticing this with my house too. I'm like, all of this stuff is just keeping me distracted. All these things that I think I should do or I have to do. Distraction. Business. Okay, well, we're going to put this out, so we got to do this. It's like, no, we don't. Distraction. All the social media platforms. Which one do I put on? Okay, now as a company, I've got to be on 5 different platforms. Then we're hiring these extra people. It's like distractions. What are you really here to do? You have to every day get really anchored and clear on, what am I here to do? Don't let any of the noise in. What am I here to do? And I focus on that. And then you're going to start to notice all the things that are distracting you. Extra choices that you don't need to make, that you are telling yourself or being told you need to make. Distraction. Simplify your routine. Even like anything that's stressing you out. This is where hiring professionals is really helpful. How many people get distracted with their 8-hour Google rabbit holes? How many people get distracted because they feel stressed out about, I don't really know what I should eat for my body, or I don't know what supplements to take, or I don't know what the best exercise routine is for me. It's like, hire a professional. Cut out the distractions. Get the plan. Let's go. Right? Or if it's like, well, I don't even know how to listen to my intuition, and you're pouring over all of these podcasts and you're trying to read books and you're still not getting it. It's like, okay, buy a course with the answer, because it's there, I promise. Where am I getting distracted? Where am I saying that I have this book I want to write or this podcast I want to start or whatever it is? And then what am I doing with my spare time? And I'm going out every weekend and I keep feeling disappointed. If you're having fun, then that's great. But I'm talking about, I know there's a lot of people that are feeling like something is missing, something is off. They are feeling unsatisfied because our souls are like, get on mission and do the legacy work. Do the legacy work, because if you are not doing the legacy work and if you are not connected with soul family right now, like the aligned people for you to be connected with, if you're in the wrong relationships, you're going to constantly have this nagging of like, I can't ground in, this isn't correct, nothing is good enough, I'm not feeling satisfied. Your soul is guiding you to more. So how can you simplify? And how can you focus on the mission? Okay, these are things I do through the rebirth. These are things I do. 1, first I have to let myself go through the whole vortex. I should have thought about this before, but whatever. I let myself go through the whole vortex, all the wishy-washy stuff, and I just pay attention to everything that's coming up for me. I'm thrown in the laundry machine and I'm just floating around and everything's chaotic and things are leaving my reality and new ideas are coming in. I just witness and I journal. You can get a quartz code journal. I journal and I write down everything I'm noticing. I'm writing down, I'm noticing this pattern. I'm noticing this limiting belief. Maybe I should release this. Do I actually want to do that? I'm just spending all that time just noticing, because so much changes through the laundry machine time. It's going to be so helpful to have all of that written out each day for yourself of these are the things I'm noticing, because it's basically the universe is dropping in all these different puzzle pieces and then you put them all together. At a certain point, you sit with yourself. So after this, it's okay, things have settled, but I'm not clear. I take time for myself. I cut myself off from everybody. You've got to be in your own energy field. This is crucial. So I like to go away on a trip. That was part of me leaving for Joshua Tree last week and being up there. It's just me and Liv, and we both got space to just really ground into these new iterations of ourselves. I have to get away from people's energy field. So go away by yourself, spend a day, just go to a nearby location and spend the whole day by yourself, lock yourself in a room for a day, whatever you need to do to get some space for yourself. I mean, the more time you can give yourself, a full weekend, the better, or even a week, but you got to get away from other people's energies, because it's other people's ideas and their field that we think it's our thoughts or we think it's our confusion, and it's not. So the more that you clear out all of the clutter, the easier it will be for you to get really clear on what it is. that you're meant to be doing. So you get away from everybody else, and then you take a content detox. You don't go on Instagram. Don't listen to any content. Don't watch TV. Don't listen to music. Like, actually detox. Basically, it's do all the things that I've actually been thinking about creating something to help people through that. Let me know if you'd be interested in it. Like as step by step, this is the detox, to really get clarity on what you're thinking and how you're feeling. And then you give yourself space to vision. Okay. You give yourself space to vision. So I like to use Pinterest, and I'll go on Pinterest and I'll basically make a new mood board. I'll make a mood board for my life. Like, just like this iteration of me, I'm stepping in the new frequency. And so I make a mood board, and that for me really grounds it in. I like to just pin different things on Pinterest. It could be houses, it could be outfits, it could be colors, it could be scenes, like just literally anything that's like is the vibe. This is where you get to be in creator mode, creativity, creative energy. So I make a whole vibe on my Pinterest board where I'm getting more acquainted with the energy of my new self, the vibe, the colors I'm drawn to, like things like that. And then from there, I draw what are the really tangible steps that I get to take. Like from there, this is where people get stuck in the rebirth and they don't really do it. Is for, like, you have to then give yourself some masculine structure, a plan of this is how I'm going to move forward. So for me, you know me, I like to do everything very physically. So I'm like, okay, I'm literally going to get rid of these clothes in my closet and I'm going to buy these things. I'm like, okay, I'm literally going to change this in my bedroom and I'm going to find this new painting that represents new energy. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to get rid of? And then what am I adding into my environment? Or you know what? Starting whenever, I'm going to start to wear lip gloss every day, right? That was one of mine. It was like, what are the physical anchors? This is really important for manifestation. I get really clear on the vision for myself. Okay, what time am I waking up? What's my new morning routine? Right? Maybe get yourself a new Quartz co-product, right? Where it's like, okay, hey, every day I'm going to pull an affirmation card. Like, this new version of you, what does that version of you do? And then how am I going to start this on Monday? We can't just be thinking about it. So I make myself a very tangible list of how I move my body, what I'm eating, how I'm spending my time, what are my new boundaries, what am I available for? And I spend a lot of time in that energy, getting into that energy away from everybody else so that I can, when I step back into it, I'm so firm in that energy that nothing is going to shake me. Because what happens is people will re-enter the old situation, but they haven't fully anchored in. They're like a cookie that's not fully baked. And so then they're around other people and they go back to how they were before. So that list is going to be really important. What are the tangible things? And I'm telling you, I honestly think one of the most important tools for this is, well, one, the Pinterest board, the vision board, whatever it is, like those physical reminders. Two, the list, the tangible actions that I'm taking to make the shift. That's like, this is this version of me, this is what they do. And these are the changes I'm making. So for me, it's often like, okay, we're going to make all these changes in the business. I went and I freaking rebranded the last 2 weeks and I'm literally just doing new branding. I'm changing how I'm doing the podcast and YouTube. It's all just the same thing. I'm focusing here. I'm going to come here like all the time. I'm going to start doing random shit, like new clothes. I'm moving, and I'm like, okay, this is the new house. This is the new energy. I'm like, okay, this is the tea I drink now in the afternoon. Like literally little things like that really, really grounded in, and then you got to implement it. So the Pinterest board, the list, the list, and then what am I doing every single day to connect with my soul self, to anchor in my frequency? So if you're in the Channel Collective, this is the daily frequency work. This is do the meditations, right? Every morning, listen to that. Set your frequency for the day. Attune to this version of you so that when you enter into old situations, you are energetically resilient, as we say in Manifestation Mastery. Is there anything else I really want to add? No, but I want to wrap up with what the guides are saying. The guides are saying they're laughing at me because, well, they're saying they're happy that I'm finally, I finally have this fire lit under my butt. It was kind of missing for a while, I'll be honest. At that, a lot of the changes that we're being called to make right now need to happen quickly. There is an urgent energy for a lot of this, and that's not an urgent energy that's meant to like, it's not a scary thing. It's like, this is like, you just got to change it. Like this thing that we've been doing for a lot of a long time, this lifetime, other lifetimes of like, oh, it takes us a while, and maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, and then my incarnation ends and I come back and I incarnate again, and then maybe I'll learn the lesson. It's like, you literally can't. It has to happen now, and things are going to really like feel a lot more, like there's going to be a lot of resistance. And you're probably feeling this. Like a lot of people are feeling like, I'm hitting hardcore resistance. Things are not working. Things are so stuck everywhere, because we can't do this cute little like, oh, maybe I'll change, maybe I won't, I'm scared to change. Like you have to change. You have to live from your heart and live from your soul. And so they're saying there's an urgency. There is an urgency to these changes. And it's not like a fear thing. It's like, they're just like, shift now. Get used to living in the present moment. Get used to following the guidance of your soul that comes in exactly when it needs to, and trusting that and actually having fun with that instead of trying to overplan. Anything else? This is about distilling down in your life what's truly resonant for you and what's not, what's supporting you and feeling good and what's not, what's actually helpful for you and what's not, because a lot of us are doing way too much. There's way too much clutter. And those are all the distraction energies that are making you feel like you're not sure, or you don't know, or you're missing something, or I don't know why I can't get to my next level. It's actually clearing out the clutter and clearing out the distractions, right? It's like, do I need to be subscribed to 500 podcasts? No. Do I need to follow 10,000 people on Instagram? No. Right? Simplify and give yourself visual representations of who you are in the rebirth, and then anchor into them. Walk the talk. That's what we're being called to do. So I'm going to wrap up there. I could probably go on, but I actually have a client. Yeah, I'm excited. So podcast, YouTube are going to be the same from here on out. I'm going to be popping in here probably a lot more often. I'm going to let things be a lot more chaotic. We're just like going full. I mean, this is divine feminine. Divine feminine is in the chaos. In the chaos. We love the chaos, right? We just go for it. We go right in there, and there's no structure to it. It's a wave. It's ocean. You cannot control the ocean. So that's it for today. Let me know what you think. Let me know what's coming up for you. Are you feeling the stuck energy? Are you feeling the change energy? Are you feeling the holy shit, I have to create this? I can't just ask my spirit guides what my highest timeline is. Because I feel you. All right. That's it for today. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Sending you lots of love, and I will chat with you again next time.